second night of Pesach, 1964, probably around 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. Yegiah, just a setting in 770. This would be probably upstairs in 770, yeah. So the pasuk says, in Tehillim, the verse says, Yegiah Kapecho kfich. If a person eats the fruits of his labor, of his hands, literally, Ashrecha, how fortunate it is for you, v'toivlach, and it's good for you. End of verse, end of quote. You have to understand, what's the virtue here? That a person's food means his sustenance, a cup of dafka, it's from his hands. There's 2 questions here. Why the emphasis on hands? People work with their minds, not necessarily with their physical hands. Number 1. Number 2, and if someone gives it to you, food, but that's not good. It has to be dafka from the toil of your hands. That's the 2 questions here. As opposed to an inheritance, a handout, a gift, etc. Why is this a virtue? So the Halvins, to understand this, Yesh lahaktim, if the first preface, tchila, first, bira inyan, to explain the statement of our sages, they say as follows. The Gemara says in Tractate Rosh Hashanah, she'adam nidoin b'chol yom. A person is judged by heaven every day, what he's going to get and how he's going to get, what's going to happen to him. But he does with it is his choice. But the allotment is every day determined by a heavenly court case. And that's why it's in brackets, that's why every day we have to pray, al panosa, for livelihood, for other needs, because we're on trial every day. What's the question? He asked the question. What do you mean we're on trial every day? The question is, our sages tell us, otherwise, it would seem. The 2 statements of our sages seem to be in contradiction, because elsewhere it says that that all of a person's livelihood is already set, determined, Rosh Hashanah ad Yom Kippurim. Those 10 days, Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, that's when the divine ledger is open. That's when it's decided to the penny how much a person is going to earn that year. Done. Yom Kippur is over. Yet we just said a moment ago, no. And yet our sages say, on the other hand, no. We judged every day. So we judged Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, we judged every day, which is contradiction. So it seems. He's going to reconcile it very deeply now. Yuvan Behek, understand this apparent contradiction and resolve it by first prefacing Bir Inyan Achsimo B'Ne'ila de Yom Kippurim. Our sages describe the climax of Yom Kippur, which is the praise called Ne'ilah, by using the metaphor of a seal. I mentioned before the ledger. The ledger, Rosh Hashanah, God, between those 10 days, God's writing. There's 2 ledgers, basically. And each ledger, each one gets his individual determination. But it's written. We all know that, right? And written, and it's sealed when? Yom Kippur. When's the sealing on Yom Kippur? At Ne'ilah. The old days used to send out cards, and you're a kid, you probably remember. People would email cards, holiday cards, and may be written and sealed in the book of life. That's exactly what they're quoting from this. Rosh Hashanah, it is written, our fate, live or die for that matter, and our livelihood, and our health, all the physical things that are going to happen to us. And Yom Kippur, it's sealed, but when is the seal? At Ne'ilah. Now, what does this mean now spiritually? So first of all, what does the seal mean? Why invoke that metaphor? We don't mean a physical seal, obviously. This is like a seal on a letter. In the old days, the king, or actually anybody of the nobles, etc. So if a seal was attached, that meant this can't be changed. As long as the seal hasn't been, or the stamp hasn't been placed on the letter, which is an instruction. Talking about a letter of instruction or of will. It can still be changed. It's not final. Once the seal is affixed, Nasekiyam adover, the matter is being determined in a way that it can't change forever. Like it says in the story of Purim, that there was no way to revert the king's decree. The Nachtoim, once it was sealed by the king, which was then the annihilation of the Jews, there's no way to revert that. Ein lahoshiv. So what happened? The king made another decree, preempting it, that the day before the Jews would be exterminated, the Jews were given permission to pick up arms and destroy their enemies, which they did. But the king couldn't revert that decree. He could preempt it with another one, telling us that in halacha, once a seal is affixed, and he's explaining it spiritually, that is not to be changed. Now we're going to go deep dive into what this means spiritually, metaphysically. The matter is as follows. What is revealed on Rosh Hashanah? What's elicited? What is drawn from God? A new is not the right word, really. It's something new, period. It's a new revelation. On Rosh Hashanah, what divine level is this? Chesed da'atik. Atik is, as we all know, the inner level of Chesed. It's where the essence is manifest. Chesed da'atik is God's benevolence flowing from his essential being. That's a brief definition of Chesed da'atik. I hope you can repeat it. Shehu koyach ha'chesed ha'yuli. Now, at this lofty, pristine state, this level of Chesed, which is divine benevolence, there's a better word for it in English. It's EFFUL. Anybody knows English? No one graduated here. Huh? Maybe that's the word.
Affluence?
Yeah, I think that's the word. No, define it to me.
Effluence, a positive influence, a giving, bestowing.
Okay, that's the general idea. So this chesed, that's chesed in general. But yuli means, it's actually a Latin word. And it means undifferentiated state in its potential, pure, non-defined state. It's like the pure potential. So chesed hayuli means a chesed that could be manifested in endless ways. Not in a particular definition. It's the pure attribute of bestowal, of giving. What? Could be in many, many ways. That's the next level. Clear? That's Rosh Hashanah. That's chesed da'atik. Sheyochel lispashit at that level, so the benevolence can manifest, spread literally, belishir gvul, endlessly. So it's infinite in simple language. Furthermore, at that level, there's no form. What is this chesed? How's it going to manifest? This kindness. At that stage, it's just pure giving. Giving what? Not yet. That's the lower level where it's defined and contained, and agendas and what's needed and the calculations. Here it's just pure giving. So looking at, if we were to observe, this is what stirred Rosh Hashanah. I want to give you, say God. Give what? Beyond the what. It's just the giving. Then moreover, it's so infinite that the recipient can't receive it. It would overwhelm us. It's infinite. If God would bestow his infinite kindness, it would just dissolve us out of existence. Absorbed in the infinite. That's not what God wants, to be dissolved out of existence. So therefore, his infinite kindness must be contained. Like the laser beam. It's got to be contained and targeted for specific needs. Example given in Chassidus is rain. Rain is water. And water is the physical incarnate of chesed, of benevolence, of kindness, which is why nothing can live without water. But for the water to be beneficial, can't come down in sheets. With flood, it comes down in drops. Because it comes down contained, it's beneficial. So if you give love to someone and you don't tailor it to what they need now, you can overwhelm them, you can destroy them. dissolve them. Love to be effective, like the rain, the water has to come down in droplets. For the light to be effective of the sun, it's got to be screened. There's the ozone layer, there's layers that filter the sun's rays. The pure rays of the sun would burn, scorch the earth. We need the sun, similar like the rain. To be effective, there's the filters that God has placed around the sun, around the world, that filter the sun's rays, that they should be beneficial. So what are we saying? So therefore, so first God, Rosh Hashanah is saying, God first expresses, I love you infinitely. But now we're going to convey that to you in a way that's tailored to your need. Now the chesed, the kindness must be contained. And the containment or the limitation of it is called gevura, which means restraint. So now this great, initially unbridled, I love you. We say in English expression, I love you to death. It's true, you can love someone to death. You can love them to death. If you're not tailoring it to where they are right now, it can be inappropriate and overwhelming. Dissolve them, absorb them within you, and they disappear. That's not love. So therefore, there has to be, it's got to start that way. It's this endless love. But then, that's about me. But then I've got it, but you, it's got to be tailored to you. There's I love you. What's the emphasis? The I or the you? So the I love you is boundless. If the emphasis is I love you, then it's going to be tailored to you. It's going to be the love the way you need to get it, not the way I want to show. So that's the ischalkos, that's the division that must come. So this infinite expression of love, then to be effective, must be divided into parts and given appropriately, being invested in the other with description, timing, and very and nuanced, needed to this moment. That be manifest in a very defined and appropriate way. Then the recipient can receive it, and it'll be edifying, it'll be appropriate, and will be true love and true kindness. So, that's what we mean. He's going to explain now the seal. The seal at Ne'ilah Yom Kippur is to take this great love that God is expressing in the 10 days of Rosh Hashanah and now filtering it through the appropriate, very defined channels tailored to, as God understands and needs and knows what we need. I can explain how. Because what happens then is, okay, this is a big explanation here, but I'll keep it brief. Okay, for those who know, good, you get the general idea. The whole avodah of Rosh Hashanah is being in Malchus, that's neshama, so we're reaching out to God from below to above, as opposed to Pesach, which is above to below. This is a Pesach Maimer, mind you. It's interesting. The whole theme is Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur. Guess we'll see at the end. It's so unusual. Something's going on. At any rate, so what is the whole avodah? We're coronating God as king. It's all coming from below to above. So what's in the Ne'ilah? Ne'ilah, it's the 10 days, the 10 levels of the soul. The Jew ascends to the level of Atik. The Jew, it's a simple language, it means that Ne'ilah is a Jew stands face to face with Atzmus, with the essence of Hashem. And he stands there with all his limitations. With all his limitations. With his deepest dedication, but with all of his flaws and limitations. And who is he confronting? Atzmus Mamash. So Yahei Gvur is the Malchus. So there's the 5 Gvuras of Malchus. What is it? The 5 Gvuras of Malchus? So in generally, the simple illustration for everything, everything that exists physically devolves from a spiritual reality that precedes it. Our hands, friends, you have a right hand and a left hand. And the hands is by which you do. And in general, why do we have 2 hands? For balance. I have 2 eyes, so you get perspective with 2 eyes. Symbolically, the right hand gives and the left hand tempers, balance. Now, if the hand to be effective, I want to give you something, do something for you. I'm reaching out. I don't have fingers. I can't do it. You need fingers. 5 fingers. 5. The 5 fingers allow the hand, the giving, to be effective. That's the Hey Gvuras. That's the 5 definitions that define the giving, that it be tailored and specific and effective. Please tell me where else we find this in 5 Hey Gvuras. Also Malchus, another metaphor for Malchus. The most common metaphor for Malchus. Not metaphor, so parallel within the person. What's Malchus in the person? Yeah, Malchus per speech. No, so where's 5 in speech? Exactly, there's the 5 organs of speech. There's the simple sound, but what produces sounds are particular letters, 5 organs. The throat, the palate, teeth, lips, and tongue. And all 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet, I can send you the list, they all are produced by one of these 5 organs of speech. So again, the number 5 is about taking something raw, sound, could be anything, and then expressing it in particular sounds and words. Like the hand, give, write, but what? The fingers, the dexterity of the fingers define the giving to a specific giving. Like the 5 organs of speech define the sound into specific words. To be continued tomorrow. All to explain what happens, what the seal is of Yom Kippur.